J5Lover, your number one Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson fan, and today I want to talk about some of my favorite Michael Jackson and Jackson 5 photographers. Now this is going to be a two-part episode, and today I'll talk about just 5 of my favorite photographers, and in the second episode I'll talk about 5 more of my favorite Michael Jackson and Jackson 5 photographers. But before we get started with that, let's talk about this day in Jackson 5 history. Well, this day in Jackson 5 history, May the 4th, 1951, Jackie Jackson was born. Happy birthday, Jackie Jackson. He's going to be 71 this year. Happy birthday. May the 4th be with you, Jackie Jackson. Let's get into it. My favorite Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson photographers. Starting with number 1, Todd Gray. I love Todd Gray. He is an interesting photographer because he actually first met Michael Jackson in the studio with Stevie Wonder back in 1974. And Todd was just a teenager himself. But he ended up later on shooting the Jacksons' photographs during the Destiny tour and the Triumph tour. And I just absolutely love this man's photographs. Some of them, especially his ones of Michael Jackson, like some of the black and whites, are just very like romantic, kind of almost old school Hollywood looking. And I feel like his pictures are kind of split down the middle. Some of them are like kind of romantic and just beautiful. And the other half are just really like glitzy and glittery and magical. I think Todd really captures that with a lot of his glitzy, glittery, glimmery stage photographs, as well as when he photographs Michael in his iconic glitzy socks. Here's Todd actually to explain what kind of imagery he wanted to convey when he was taking pictures of Michael.
Is there one photograph of Michael that you think captures his essence?
I don't think I could do it in one. I'd have to make a whole movie or something. For right now, that's a real close starter. I mean, because all that spark, but you get the glitter and you get the spark, but you don't get the warmth and the compassion. Maybe a really beautiful photograph of a fawn or a cat napping, or a child playing, something like that. It just shows human love, human kindness and human warmth. Because really, that's what he's all about. Just a human being who's full of love that wears glitter socks.
Now, here's a book that has a ton of Todd Gray's photographs of Michael and his brothers called Michael Jackson Before He Was King. And like I said, I just really love some of these photographs, kind of like the one on this cover here of Michael. Like I said, it just kind of has that old like Hollywood feel. It's just the lighting is so warm. I love this too, like the way he just captures some of these images are just, like I said, they're so warm, or, then he has other images that are like, whoo, glitzy, stage, magical. I absolutely love this book, and you can actually find this book online. I've actually found this at my local, like, used bookstore before as well. It didn't come out too long ago, so it should be a pretty easy find and fairly affordable. The next photographer that I love is Arno Bani. He photographed Michael Jackson back in 1999. He was only 23 years old. He was a fashion photographer at the time, and this was kind of like his breakthrough moment, photographing Michael Jackson. I absolutely love some of the photographs that he took of Michael, especially like photographs of Michael wearing this outfit with this sort of eye makeup, and there's a close-up in the book. He just reminds me of Ziggy Stardust. I absolutely love this, and I just love how glitzy and glammy he made Michael, and it was just, he was really having fun with these photographs, and kind of photographed Michael in a very high kind of fashion, kind of profile sort of way, kind of unusual. I don't think I've ever seen another photographer actually photograph Michael in this way or capture his image in this way. And I find these photographs so fascinating. And here's Arno Bani to talk about his first experiences with Michael.
I was 23 years old. I was a young fashion photographer in Paris, and I had just met Isabella Blow, who I ended up working with for a year. She sort of discovered me and pretty much launched my career. I was working for the Sunday Times, a supplement of the Times, and at the time we were given a lot of freedom to do whatever we wanted with French haute couture. And I did an editorial about gold wraps in a museum in England, and that made the cover of the Sunday Times. And one Sunday, Michael Jackson was in London, and he came across this famous photo, and he fell in love with the image, and he quickly demanded to meet the photographer who had taken it. From the very first time I met with him, he gave me carte blanche. What he wanted to do was more than just take some photos, because he was searching for his next new look, for the next 10 years to come. So he asked me if we could revisit the photo with the gold cape, the famous photo from the Sunday Times. He asked me to think about other scenarios as well, other vibes, other styles, including ideas for hair and makeup and all of that. He even agreed to cut his hair for the photo shoot. All the photos that we have here, and there are 90 lots, include 4 giant prints that are 2 meters 20 high and small prints that are 6 by 7 centimeters, as well as contact sheets, some of which have been signed by Michael, where he made his choices by putting down annotations. Everything is one of a kind, so it goes without saying that each piece is unique.
This book has a lot of great images. There are a few books of Arno Banni's pictures. One is really thick and expensive. This is like the smaller, more affordable one. I've actually found this on eBay online. So I know that either book of Arno Banni's photos can be found on eBay online. My next favorite photographer of the Jacksons is Lynn Goldsmith. She's absolutely one of my all-time favorite photographers. She was a rock photographer. She did a lot for Rolling Stone magazine. She has an amazing history. She dated Bruce Springsteen when she was younger and just was really in that rock and roll sort of world and made friends with so many people. And I think that's what I love about Lynn Goldsmith is she really had kind of a personal connection to the people that she photographed. She has so many great stories to share and even great stories to share about Michael. Here she is to explain.
At one of the hotels we were at, I said to Michael, before the show, you know, at the hotel, we're there when there's magic light. And he said, magic light? And I said, yeah, I can show it to you if you want. And he went, oh yeah. So we snuck away and we went up to the roof. And it was up on the roof that Michael took off his shirt, which I did not ask him to do. Don't ask me why he did it. But we were only up there maybe 15 minutes. Oh, I have to show you another picture because it got dark real fast. The magic hour was gone, but these lights were up there, on the rooftop, and so we really played with what was there. And after I processed the film, I showed Ron Weisner, who was the manager on tour with him. He was managed by Freddie DeMann and Ron Weisner, and they loved my pictures. And I didn't release them, so that made them even happier. And so after the Victory Tour was over and the album cover was completed, I continued to work with Michael. This is in 1984, and this is at Disneyland. Michael and I went on various rides together, and they closed down a portion of Disneyland for Michael and I to be able to do that.
Lynn Goldsmith actually took several pictures of Michael and his brothers during the Triumph and Victory tours, and a lot of her pictures made the cover of magazines. They're like iconic photographs of Michael and his brothers, like, you know, the Life magazine and Time and like Rolling Stone. Her pictures are just so incredible and memorable and unforgettable. I think she's an amazing photographer. I love this book that Lynn Goldsmith put out called Rock and Roll Stories. And she does talk about Michael and his brothers in this book, as well as several other rock stars and pop stars. And this book, I believe I found at my local bookstore a few years back, but it can easily also be found online. And just, you know, I love the way that she talks about how sweet and kind Michael was and his experience in the Tunnel of Light as he was dancing to James Brown. Like, that's how she got him to like loosen up for that photo session, which I love. And just her experiences with Michael at Disney World. And I love the rooftop photos. Those are probably my favorite. Before she knew it, she created magical photos with Michael. Another photographer that I love is Jim Hendon. Jim Hendon was actually a Motown photographer, so he photographed many of the acts and singers at Motown Records. He photographed the Jackson 5, actually their first photo session, back in 1969 for the cover of their Diana Ross Presents album. And I absolutely love those photographs. I feel like it's the last time that you see the Jackson 5 sort of in an unpolished manner, because actually Tito and Jackie were missing a tooth during the photo session. It was a 5-hour-long photo session, and I just love the way that Jim Hendon captures the innocence and the sense of wonder of the Jackson 5, which you never ever see again with any other photographer after this. He just captures a moment in time, you know, kind of the Jackson 5 at the beginning of their stardom, which you will never ever see again. Another photographer that I love is Weldon McDougall III. Actually, what's so interesting about him is that Michael Jackson actually taught him how to take photographs. Here's Weldon's son to explain.
Father started taking pictures after he got with the Jackson 5. Michael, about 10 years old, was into taking pictures at the time. He told my father how to take a picture. And my father got the bug. When he picked that camera up, he said, I gotta get my own.
I just love his photographs. I love how candid they are and how close he was to the Jacksons. And you know, you see his photographs from the early days in the early 70s of the Jackson 5 all the way through the Victory Tour. He took so many great photographs. I love, like I said, the candidness and just how personal he was and got close to the Jackson family. So you see them around their house and in the recording studio. And I love this book, The Early Days of the Jackson 5, with several of Weldon McDougall's photographs. I actually found this book at my local bookstore, like used bookstore, but I'm sure that you can also find this online. It's definitely a rare gem and great to have in your Jackson collection or photography collection. Okay, so that ends my part 1 of my favorite Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson photographers. I'll be talking about several more in part 2. Thank you guys so much for watching today. And tell me in the comments, like, who are some of your favorite Michael Jackson and Jackson 5 photographers? Maybe some of the ones I named today or some other ones. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like today's video, please like and subscribe. I could always use more subscribers, and I really appreciate your guys, feedback and positive energy. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.